Hello and welcome back to my channel. As promised, I am talking about today some things that we are already changing in our homeschool. If you've watched my previous videos, I did a whole video on switching to BJU for my fourth grader. I'll try and find that video. I might put a screenshot here. Just a little bit of a backstory. We modify our homeschool in the summer, but we tend to still homeschool all year round, just so we don't lose what we've already learned. We don't do as much during the summer, but we still do some. And so what we don't do during the summer typically is like history, science, Bible, like those kinds of curriculums, but we do still do some language arts and some math. We do take a few weeks off, but we do not take like 2.5 months off. Over the summer, we had been experimenting with the BJU press stuff that we had bought, and while I love BJU, and I know so many and I follow so many people on here that love BJU, I just kind of figured out that it really wasn't working. The videos are just too long for my almost 10-year-old. History alone was almost 30 minutes every single day. And with English, the videos could be anywhere from 18 to 25 minutes. Same with math. The video options were a lot. And I looked at getting like the parent manuals, but that was just a lot of material. And I get overwhelmed with way too much material. So we tried BJU for a week and it was a struggle. It was a ginormous struggle. And if you love BJU, I think it is a phenomenal curriculum and you really can't go wrong. However, we are also doing classical conversations. And so my thought process was trying to get used to 1.5 hours to 2 hours of videos, plus bookwork, plus doing CC was just going to be way too much. So if you were here for my last video, you know that we originally had planned to do The Good and the Beautiful. And originally my daughter thought that this was going to be too overwhelming. It is a lot on each page. But we tried BJU Press for a week, and then we tried The Good and the Beautiful, the language arts, and the math for a week. And she did way better with this. The level 4 does not have videos. They might start having videos come next year when they revamp the 4th through 7th grade. But the math has videos, but the math videos are like 9 minutes long. So the math videos are not overwhelming at all. One of the changes that we're making is we're going back to level 4, which comes with the course book, the spelling and writing workshops, and then it has the world biography reader and the personal reader. One thing, and this is a personal preference, one thing that I love about The Good and the Beautiful that I didn't love, I'm not saying it's bad, but that I didn't love with BJU in older years is that they stopped having the kids read full books. And so in 4th grade, you're reading readers, obviously, but you're still reading an actual book for 20 minutes at the end of a lesson if you're following the program. So my daughter finishes roughly a book a week, and granted, she's in 4th grade. She's not reading, this size of a book in a week, but she's finishing an on-level book once a week. And with BJU, the older you get, the less you're actually reading full books. And I really want my kids reading entire books. I want them to experience starting and finishing a book. The Atlantic came out with an article on the elite college student kids who can't read a book. And I don't want that to be the story for my kids. So along with the level 4 language arts, we're doing mental math. She has been doing so well with this. I cannot speak well enough about mental math. I never thought that she would be able to do mental math. It just wasn't her thing, but she loves it. And then Math 4, I actually have been liking Math 4 so much better than Math 3. It comes with videos, and the videos are not overwhelming. They're 9 minutes long, and there's way less reading to the child. In Math 3, because it doesn't have any videos, I felt like there was so much reading in math that I had to do every day. And this is different. I love Math 4. I have loved Math 1, Math 2, Math 3 has probably been my least favorite so far, but it was still phenomenal. It was still great. I just didn't care for all of the reading. But Math 4 with videos, my favorite thing about it. The next thing that we changed, obviously because we're not doing BJU, and so we did, the last lesson of history we did had a 30-minute video, and then the worksheet was gonna take close to 45 minutes. So we nixed BJU. BJU might be an option in the future. I'm not saying that we just hate BJU and we would never use it again, but it's too much this year, particularly for my fourth grader. It may not be too much for yours, but it was too much for mine. So because we're doing classical conversations, we're actually moving campuses because I want to be closer to my house. But my old director brought up Story of the World, and I had never looked into Story of the World. And I don't want to do the new Good and Beautiful history until next year. I would like to wait until my second grader goes into third grade, and then I would like to start on the histories from the Good and the Beautiful. But this year, we are going to be doing Story of the World. And so the Middle Ages, it's not a perfect match, but it kind of goes with CC and what we're learning in CC. So this is just the reading book that I read to them. I got the tests and quizzes. I probably will not make my second grader do these tests. I may have my fourth grader do some, but I doubt I will have her do all. And the way that I plan to do this is I plan on just copying out of the book. I don't plan on using these as a consumable. So I'm just gonna make copies and go that route. So I have the tests, and then this is a thick book. This is the activities book, and so it kind of gives you a brief overview of each chapter, but then in the back it has activities and maps that you can do. So Story of the World Volume 2 is what we are doing this year, and that is to coincide with CC. We're also doing handwriting level 4, and then Bible, this gets into the CC stuff, is we are doing Driven by Grace Bible curriculum. And so we will be doing Foundations of the Bible, Judges to Jesus, Volume 2, and I have one of these for each of my girls. Plus I have the teacher's edition. For CC, now I told you the last time that I did not have my CC stuff. I have my CC stuff now, and I did it a little bit differently than how everyone on YouTube does it. I actually got my idea from another YouTuber, but unless you're really looking for it, this isn't the norm on what you're gonna see. So the Essentials curriculum comes completely unbound, and the Essentials curriculum is an grammar and writing curriculum. Yes, I'm using the Good and the Beautiful, and I'm using CC. I've heard different people say different things. Some of them supplement, some of them don't. So this year is really just gonna be a trial run. The Good and the Beautiful is only 120 lessons. And if it becomes too much, I can cut out the spelling and writing workshops from the Good and the Beautiful and just stick with CC. So we're just gonna play that by ear. The way that I did it was I put the students, the consumable stuff, and page protectors in a binder. And this is all stuff that I'm gonna have to make photocopies of later. And so I did not get this bound. It's just, and I think this is a 1/2 inch, it may be an inch, I'm not really sure, in a binder, but this is the only thing I put in a binder because I do not like binders. I put the solutions manual, which has the solutions for the sentence editing, and then it has your weekly stuff. I got that spiral bound. And then I also got the main curriculum, which has your weekly stuff. And Staples put this obnoxiously large spiral on it. I don't know if that's even necessary. I feel like they may just have been a little salty. But I got this spiral bound as well. And this just has your weekly stuff that you're doing in community and at home. And I did not want to be carrying binders around everywhere. And this is just so easy to like flip open and sit on your lap. Whereas a binder, I don't know, I just feel like it was too cumbersome. So I was like the odd man out. I don't know of anybody else personally that I know that does this with their essentials, but it's what I did. And then going into the history portion, so we do our history sentences in the foundations guide are pretty medieval. And then we do medieval history based writing lessons. And so this is the writing portion of essentials. And then I have the teacher's manual. Now you're thinking like, how is this simplified? Listen, BJU plus the CC stuff was, I promise, way, way more. So this is CC stuff, which most of this is not consumable. The only thing in here that's consumable is the activity book and the student book. None of the rest of the stuff I have to repurchase. I will have to repurchase the student book every year, and I will have to repurchase an activity book for my daughters every year if we stick with this Bible curriculum. But none of the rest of it, the rest of this I can, oh, and I'll probably have to buy the teacher's manual because we don't do the same one every year. It changes based on the year. Like next year's American history writing lessons for cycle 3. But all of this stuff I keep until they revise it or update it. This is not consumable. This is reusable year after year after year with multiple kids. So that's nice. This is not actually like physical curriculum that I will be handing her and saying, here, do all of this in this book work. We have like one sentence a week that we diagram, that we go over like what the parts of speech are, and we do all of that. But as far as like actual workbooks for CC, and this is what we're doing from CC as far as workbooks. We're doing the Bible and we're doing the history lessons for medieval history. And then the nice thing about Story of the World, again, I'm not using it as a consumable, and it's for both of my kids. My second grader stuff hasn't changed. She's still using the Good and the Beautiful. But this is for both of my kids, plus I can use it for my youngest when she gets older. And when we go back around to cycle 2, if we decide that we want to do this again, we can. I am a big proponent of classical education over here. And then the Good and the Beautiful, again, the Good and the Beautiful is just super nice because the language arts combines the literature, grammar, and usage, punctuation, art, geography, spelling, vocabulary, and writing. You don't have to have a separate book for everything, which I said in my last video. And my daughter, once she did a couple of lessons, like I'm trying to think of what lesson we're on right now. We're on lesson 7. Once she got through a couple of lessons, she realized that it was not nearly as overwhelming as it just looks at first glance. So I'm going to just kind of show you outside of the CC stuff, which I've already shown. This is my 4th grader stuff. I should say, this is my 4th grader's independent work. So this is her independent work, not stuff that she's doing with her sister and not stuff that we're doing in CC. So this is her independent work, which isn't a mountain. It's fairly manageable. That's her independent work. This is history that I'm doing with my 4th grader and my 2nd grader combined. And this is her work for her workbooks for CC. If you're curious about CC Essentials, there's tons of videos. I would highly recommend, I think her YouTube is My Chocolate Moments. She's great. There's a few others. If I can think of some others, I will link them down below if you're curious in CC or what Essentials is, what it entails. There's a possibility I might be the Essentials tutor this year, so if I am, that would be really exciting. But anyways, I hope this video was helpful. I don't know if it was. If you're not into homeschooling, this might not be helpful at all. You might not care at all about this. But just getting rid of the hour-and-a-half videos and the mountain of textbooks, because it was even more textbooks with BJU. The mountain of textbooks, I feel like has just taken such a burden. And going forward, I really am going to try. Oh, Science, I'm combining science with my second grader science. So we have 3 unit studies that I did not pull out, and I'm not gonna make this video any longer than it needs to be. But I have 3 unit studies from The Good and the Beautiful that I had for my second grader. Now that we're not doing BJU Press, she's just going to be incorporated into those unit studies for science this year. Plus we do science experiments at CC, so we will have plenty of science this year. Anyways, this was a bit of a long video, so if you're still here, thanks for hanging out, and I will see you in the next video. Comment down below if you have any questions, and I will see you next time.